Well, good morning, folks, and welcome back to the farm. It's an absolutely gorgeous morning here this morning. We've got a big day ahead of us here today. We are taking this big long trailer and the red truck. We're heading to Dawson Creek, British Columbia. Yes, we're going interprovincial today because, well, hay shortage, right? So we did acquire some square bales out in Teep Creek a couple, 10 days ago, something like a week ago, something like that. But that's not enough. That's only about half of what we need. So we're gonna take this trailer. We fit 11 round bales on this trailer, and then we're gonna come back for a second load of another 10, and that will supply our sheep, the father-in-law's bulls, and hopefully the horses for the winter. So that's a weight off of our shoulders. Not knowing what to do, not knowing where you're gonna get feed. Never seen a year like this where it's been so short of feed and prices have just gone like crazy high. I've seen some areas where they're wanting like $110 for a 2-year-old round bale. Just not even feasible numbers, right? At that point in time, you're just farming for the love of farming. You're not making any money at all. In fact, this year we know we're not going to make any money. It's going to be a maintenance year. So what that's going to force us to do is cull off all of our B team, essentially. Now that might be hard to swallow, but in reality, it's maintenance year is actually a really good thing. It actually helps you improve. It forces you to do the things that otherwise you probably wouldn't want to do. One of our main priorities, part of our business plan, is to grow our flock. In a stretch to do that, maybe you keep an 80% ewe, right, instead of 100% ewe. So you've got a substandard animal. Maybe you're just keeping around to make the numbers. Well, a year like this, when you got a feed shortage, it forces you to get rid of that animal. So you're only keeping your best stock, right? And that's one thing is okay, well, if I want to feed, really good feed to, my B team, but of course then run out in the spring, or do I want to just have enough feed all year long and feed the A team? And everybody's good at the end of the year, and there's no question about meat quality, carcass quality, breeding quality, or anything like that. So it makes a lot of sense. It's painful at the time, but downstream, by next year, we'll be reaping the benefits of this, believe it or not. All right, so I'm just out here west of Dawson Creek. We've got our 11 hay bales on the trailer, ratchet strapped down. That isn't going anywhere. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. This is perfect homesteading country. Like I said, 20 kilometers plus or minus a few west of Dawson Creek in the BC piece. Just beautiful country, past lots of little homesteads along the way. Gorgeous place to be. The downside for this guy, because I'm not a truck driver. I don't haul things down the road. I definitely don't haul them across the provincial border. And I definitely don't haul them past 3 weigh scales that I've got to pass. A part of me thinks we're good. This is good for sure. And a part of me is just like colon cramping right now because maybe we're not good. I'm not a truck driver, right? I'm not familiar with the regulations. I don't know if this looks, to me it looks pretty good. Fingers crossed all the scales are closed, I guess. Well, what do you know? Here we are at home. All the bales made it. We didn't lose a single one. And I'm pretty happy about that. These are not $110 to $150 bales. These are $65 bales, but still $65 rolling down the highway is not an insurance claim I want to have to make when it goes through grandma's windshield. So very happy to see all this come home. Just put a call into the neighbor. He's got a skid steer. He's going to come help us unload it and get them stacked up with the rest of the bales over there. Then I'm going to rip back and grab load number 2. Well, it looks like we have a small problem. Wheel snapped right off Buddy's tractor. So he's now on his way to the Neighbours to go find a skid steer and hopefully get the other 10 bales loaded up. We only got 1 on the trailer. What luck, hey? If it's gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong. Such is life. Can't get mad, can't get frustrated. It just is what it is. So while we're waiting for the skid steer to show up, let's ask the question, why is hay $150 a bale this year? Well, it's because it's actually a true commodity. It's not like gold where you can just dig more up out of the ground. It's not like oil where you can just drill another well. This is something that's literally, there's a finite supply of it. And if you want more, you pretty much have to wait for the next, not only the next growing season, but the next weather cycle that's good enough to allow you to grow more. And so there was such a shortage this year. My neighbor, he said a quarter section that he used to get 500 bales off of, he got 125 bales off of this year. So that's why the price of hay has tripled essentially. The other thing is the cost of machinery. So Robin Blum put out a video the other day. Actually, I'll leave a link to this one down below. They just come back off vacation. He was pricing out some parts and stumbled across an ad for a piece of equipment. A brand new swather is like $357,000. Wow, that's just a glorified lawnmower, really. So now I was doing the math on the way over here, and because we're having to buy all this expensive hay this year, how much is that really going to cost us? And so the math works out to be that every lamb that's born in 2022, if because we're shooting for 26, right? So if we get 26, every lamb is going to owe us $67 before its mother is even bred. Now that doesn't factor in, that actually reaching, actually being birthed. It doesn't factor in if she has a single versus a twin, and it doesn't factor in whether or not that lamb reaches the age of maturity or not. So we're behind before we even start, and that's why when you think about having a maintenance year where we got to call the B team, that's why we can't afford to have any of the, not everybody's pulling their weight. It just won't work. So I gotta say a huge thank you to Ben and Alyssa out here in Dawson for getting us this feed. The neighbor, boy oh boy, the neighbor, did he ever come through with a skid steer? But they're having a bad day. And if you were there, so Ben's in the tractor and he's running the tractor. He's got a 1,200 pound round bale, one of these big boys on the front, and the wheel snaps off, snaps the heck off. And it's this ungodly noise. It sounds like a robot got punched in the dick, essentially. And it's like, where do you go from here? A couple phone calls, the neighbor says, yeah, go get my skid steer. Half an hour, 40 minutes, back in business. Hay's all loaded up, and we're heading back to Beaver Lodge. So thanks again to Ben and Alyssa and to their neighbors. That's, boy oh boy, the importance of a good neighbor. I can't overstate that. Well, you'd never believe it. We made it home. We didn't lose any bales. We didn't get pulled up by a DOT. All is well that ends well. I am gonna have to owe my neighbor like a pallet of beer, I think, because he's gonna come by later with the skid steer and offload him there. So this video is props to the neighbors out there that it definitely helped big time. On the load securement side though, because I was like shitting bricks earlier thinking we were gonna lose some bales, but a couple of three ratchet straps held like 13,000 pounds of hay in place and put on some major miles. Never went anywhere. Now to put that in perspective, I just want to show you something on the deck of the truck over here. Right here, this broken bolt, which will probably be the subject of a future video because we have no idea where it came from. So we'll keep that one as a surprise for later. Eventually we'll find it. This broken bolt has sat on the deck of that truck for probably close to 2 weeks that I've known it was there. Sat there. It's been from Rio Grande to here. Then went from here to Teepee Creek, back to here, back to Rio Grande, came here, and went to Dawson Creek twice and back to here. And still was sitting there on the deck of that truck. Didn't move an inch. How is that possible? And yet I'm sweating bullets over this. So anyways, like I said, everything made it home. Now just to look to see where this came from. Well, you know what? The dogs are fed, the eggs are all collected, and I think the hay can stay on the wagon for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and go make myself a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.